Hello everyone, let's get straight into business. I want to talk about my game that happened last week. Last week the amateur chess season has started in Hamburg and our team has won our first match with 8-0. Every single board was won, and I myself, I was the second one to win, and was honestly the quickest victory I've ever had. I was very happy with my game. The accuracy was super high, which almost never happens to me. So I guess that's also thanks to the short duration of the match, right? Anyway, I played against a gentleman who has 500 German rating points less than me. So I guess the victory was sort of statistically expected, but I wouldn't count him off so easily. His FIDE rating was around 1600 and he has around 40 rated tournaments according to his rating, and I only have one. So the difference in experience is quite significant. Anyway, the youth prevailed in this one, and let's get to the game. Basically, all my friends know I play f4, birds opening, and so I did again. I haven't played anything else since 2024. f4, the strongest move in the book. Anyway, f4, he replied with d5, the most normal reply and the most reasonable one. I got the usual bird stuff, knight f3, knight c6, e3, knight f6, so both knights out. I will put my bishop here, threatening to take here and ruin his pawn structure, to which he will naturally reply. Most classical players will do that. They will value the pawn structure and wouldn't allow anyone to ruin it on move 4. So here I follow my theory, I castle. I don't want to take on c6 because it doesn't achieve anything at this moment. We are not ruining the pawn structure because bishop is there. And here he continued with e6. The other alternative would be to attack this bishop to chase it away. He decided against that. He decided to continue developing, and I honestly think that might be the best thing. But Stockfish sees both moves equally. So I continue with the regular moves, b3, in order to put my bishop on b2 later, fianchetto it, and attack the king side. And my opponent decides for this rather passive approach of his bishop. Of course, there is no much difference. He could put it here, would be the same to me even if he put it here. This would be more adventurous and I would probably attack it, so it's reasonable he hasn't done that. But either way, this is all fine. This is all theory. I continue with my plan, bishop to b2, it's fianchettoed. And now he's attacking my bishop with the move a6. So regularly or classically, it's considered not good to move either a or h pawn in the beginning because it sort of ruins your pawn structure long term. It's considered sort of a loss of tempo in many cases. I would personally in his place just castle, but well, he decided to attack my bishop. And since I consider his move waste of a tempo, I will also not go back because that would equalize the whole transaction, sort of. He wasted his tempo, I wasted mine by moving my bishop back and forth without achieving anything. So I want to take this knight. So I take the knight, he takes it naturally back with the bishop, and now the critical move for me is to put knight on e5. I'm once again attacking this square and threatening to ruin the structure once again. And now black has many choices. Of course, he could simply ignore this and castle, but he decided for another move. He played bishop b5, kind of trying to save his bishop from being captured and also preserving his pawn structure at the moment. Luckily, I've studied this, and this is part of the bird theory that I know. So on this move I'm playing c4, no hesitation, I could instantly play it out. He decides to take, I take back, and bishop once again needs to move away. This time bishop decides for the square on d7. I'm very happy with this position immediately, even without knowing any theory. I have my solid pawns in the center, I will play d3 next, and my knight will control everything in the center. In the meantime, black's queen is trapped inside its own base. Both bishops are sort of standing passively, and there will be no central pawns, at least not two of them. So I'm playing d3, I'm continuing with my plan, business as usual. Now my opponent castles, and now the critical move is rook to f3, also part of the theory. After achieving this structure, this is usually what I do with bird, or at least what I'm supposed to do according to the books. The idea is pretty simple to start preparing an attack on the king side. Black just castled, so we know where to go, and we start preparing our pieces that way so that we can attack them in the most efficient and fastest way. On the next move, we will possibly play rook to g3 and already face the king. If I'm black, I'm not sure what I would do in this position. It's very critical here to try to get rid of this knight and also maybe contest these pawns. Obviously all of these pawns are standing passively right now on a6, b7 and c7. Trying to move them soon in either of this direction would be one of the ideas. So my opponent decides to defend this pawn on f7 after moving bishop to e8. I don't quite agree with this move. In my opinion, this looks very passive. I still believe he should have done something else. Stockfish still likes this. And yeah, if Stockfish likes it, then we can all approve of that, I guess. Now, as I said, I will put my rook here to g3 square. And my opponent played another surprising move. He plays king to h8. Another move I couldn't understand. And of course, long term, it sort of makes sense, maybe. And later he explained he wants to play his rook here and he creates space for that. But I don't think it's the right time to do that because I think there are more important things to do, like grab initiative on this side, maybe try to contest my pawn here on c4, maybe try to chase my knight from e5 away. There are many things to do. But yeah, for me, plan is pretty simple. I want to continue developing my pieces. The only undeveloped piece or the least developed is the knight on b1. And I would naturally put it here on the next move to potentially bring it even closer to the attack. Ideal square is here on f3, because if black tries to attack my knight, I can replace it with another one, as if nothing has happened. And yeah, that's basically the plan. And later I will bring my queen as well, somewhere here, and the other rook can also join the attack, depending on what black does, right? So I do this. And my opponent plays rook to g8. The computer disliked the move, so do I. Opponent's explanation after the game was to simply pace my rook in the long term. However, I'm not sure how much I like that, but I also understand that defending this square will be important in the long term if this bishop is still here and both knights go away, right? So I think that's the idea here. I also want to show a tactic here, something I was considering. For example, if this knight wants to take or wants to move here in order to try to remove my knight from this position, then there is already a tactic on the board. This would be a huge blunder because knight c6, a brilliant move, wins the queen. Why does it win the queen? Let's imagine we want to take this knight. Okay, we took it, and now there is a mate on the board. Bishop takes, knight has to go here, forced move, and this is a mate. Someone might think, yeah, let's just move the queen here. Same thing happens. Check, king goes here, bishop moves back, and it's once again a checkmate. Alright, so alright, on the next move I move my knight, as we've already discussed, to this square. If this knight is threatened, I can replace it. Another move I was worried about and sort of considered for black is that at this moment he could attack my rook like this, knight to h5. But my idea was to simply play rook h3 and I will still be comfortable. Instead, my opponent played bishop to f8. Another very, very surprising move. Incredibly surprising. Right now you see these 6 pieces here and you think, wow, they look so stuck. What are they doing? Are they having a party? Another very passive move, and Stockfish already gives me 4 points of advantage. Black hasn't been doing anything but protecting these squares for the last 5 or 6 moves. And this creates a free field for me to attack. Like in the game of chess, you also need to fight for space, you need to fight for advantage. You also want to try to attack. You don't just prepare continuously your defense. You also need to attack. This sort of passive approach will never work, especially if your opponent knows what he's doing and takes advantage of your passive approach. I can basically move my pieces however I want. And on the next move, I already see things. What I saw here already was this king is obviously trapped, it cannot move anywhere. And I have this move right now. For example, if I take pawn on f7, it's a check and a fork on a king and queen. But right now it's defended by a bishop. So as soon as this bishop is gone somewhere, I have this plan. But I also see that I can move my other knight here and have the same attack on f7 pawn. Which basically means, let's imagine, my knight takes on f7, bishop retakes on f7, and I have another knight on f7, which is not only a checkmate, because this king is trapped, but also wins the queen. Right? So I can create this threat, and I'm already wondering if black can stop me at all. So let's move the pieces and see what's happening. To stop me, or stop white from winning the game immediately, this square needs to be defended with another piece, except for this bishop. Or also to prevent me from checkmating, this king needs some heir. But at the same time, if he starts creating heir, I will have tool or resource to win the queen with a fork. right? So even if I'm not mating the opponent, I will be able to win the queen and basically have a significant advantage to finish the game. So right now he needs to use this queen to defend this square, and obviously this square is not available because it's covered by my knight on e5. So this is the only option, and I see that. And I also see that I have this bishop available. So naturally, after my opponent goes to queen e7, I play this move, bishop to a3, seemingly offering my bishop for free. He can take this bishop. But as we already know, if he takes this bishop, then this is a mate. A very beautiful smothered mate. My opponent saw this, and he took quite some time to think about this. He already realized that he's in a big trouble. I was feeling quite confident. I checked multiple times. I was thinking if c5, then I take c5, and same thing happens. And I was actually wrong. Neither me nor my opponent saw that this can save the queen, because playing c5 actually creates the square for the queen where she can be safe. So we can sort of play it out like this. Imaginary situation, and nothing happens. Black would win. Obviously I wouldn't play that, but just to showcase that black wasn't losing queen immediately. So after this my opponent got lost or got confused. Instead of resigning, he played queen to d7, giving up his queen, and I was a bit surprised about it. Personally, if I'm losing my queen, for sure I'm probably not playing the game anymore, especially on move 20. Well, this is move 18 technically. So yeah, I'm simply taking the queen. He retakes the knight with his knight, and I take his bishop on f8. Of course he can retake it, but he decided to resign at this moment. Because for me, plan is pretty simple. I'm a queen up and I can simply trade my pieces and have a very easy endgame. Yeah, and that was basically the game. 20 moves and it was over. Yeah, the fact that this c5 move existed, I sort of missed it, but let's also look at it. Even with the best play, white still has significant advantage. Like obviously you can take here, queen will go to c7, and here there are like other resources. The best move for white is rook to h3. We are once again offering our bishop for free. And yeah, let's see what happens if it's taken. For example, like this, there's once again a mate on the board. Knight takes, queen comes over. Black can try winning some time with this check. It doesn't matter. On the next move, no matter what black does, it will be a mate, right? Fascinating stuff. And I once again want to display something funny that occurred to me during the game. Look at this knight. This knight on b1. Like one of the rules of chess or rules of the opening principle says to not move your piece more than once, ideally. But what does this knight do? This fantastic knight started on b1, moved to d2, moved to f3, and then moved to g5, winning the game on the spot. This is already +4 advantage here. Yeah, even with the best play, black is still having huge problems playing this match. Very impressive knight. And I think this is it. I'm very happy with my first game of the year. This is the first time I've ever won so fast. Thank you for watching, and tell me if you like this type of format, and I might analyze more games. And yeah, have a nice evening, or day, or morning. Bye bye.